topic that I know you wanted to talk about, which, if my notes are correct, the Religious Diversity Task Force at the University of Virginia. What was this? I'm not sure I knew that was in the works.
Well, you recall all the pro-Palestinian protests at UVA in the beginning of last October, and the wave of at least what Jews felt was like a wave of anti-Semitism, and
right.
a lot of incidents that made Jewish students feel really kind of unwelcome there. Well, Jim Ryan appointed a religious diversity task force to look into the issues of bias and discrimination based on religion, and to see what, if anything, UVA could do about it or should do about it. And of course, it was not focused on anti-Semitism per se, but there's a great concern of, we have to make sure there's no Islamophobia either, although...
Right.
I mean, no one on the outside has been able to kind of detect the slightest hint of Islamophobia at UVA, but we'll throw that into the mix. And other kind of minoritized religions, whatever minoritized religion is, somebody, I guess, some other religions that have been shunted off to the to subordinate status. Of course, that's the usual language of the left, and so that was what informed the task force, which came out with a report last week and was presented to the Board of Visitors. And the Board of Visitors, in a special meeting, they just kind of basically said, well, there was not a lot of discussion. It was all closed session, which is becoming more and more common at UVA. Everything important is discussed in closed session, so we don't know what's being said. And but anyway, so the board came out to told the administration, well, just make sure there's zero tolerance for bias and discrimination on religious grounds. So it was kind of just a milquetoast kind of response, and so we're left with a report. And so in my post last week, I kind of dissected the report, and it's the usual. When you're a carpenter, every problem looks like a nail. When you're a university administrator, every problem looks like it's something that can only be addressed by administrative action. So rather than thinking that, if students aren't getting along on the basis of religion, maybe they need to work it out themselves, and maybe instead of emphasizing and accentuate the importance of identity, racial, ethnic, religious identity, which is what UVA does. It pigeonholes everybody and makes a big deal about it. Maybe we ought to be underplaying and just like letting kids just go out there and kind of mix and mingle as college kids used to do.
Yeah, it's a very odd situation that we're in now, where it's a built-in conflict on a college campus where there used to be, at least in my experience, robust debate, but not the same type of open hostility amongst students. And I'm puzzled by this because, at Baylor, I've mentioned on numerous occasions that I went and heard the spokesperson for the Soviet Union speak in our student union, and went and got a front row seat because I wanted to hear what the guy had to say. I knew I was going to dislike everything he had to say. And it's just so odd to me that this is turning into something where the students are at each other's throats when you're supposed to be learning how to navigate civilized disagreement on these campuses. And the administration doesn't seem to be able to get a hold of that and manage it.
Yeah, well, the administration's answer is, well, we're gonna host these sessions and programs to promote dialogue between groups. Okay, so I mean, they're trying to do something, and they're trying to, and they give lip service to civility and civil, polite disagreement, but can you do that at the same time that you're doing that on the one hand, but on the other hand, you're promoting ethnic and religious identity, and
right.
and and not just your formal programs, but I mean, you have teachers who are doing it, and all your student groups are organized. And the number of student groups organized around ethnic and religious identity is just unbelievable at UVA. I mean, so, those are some of the biggest, most powerful groups that are able to mobilize like voters during the student elections and things. And so, I mean, are the two things compatible? And I don't think they are. I think the root problem is the absolute emphasis on identity rather than, hey, maybe we might be of different colors or different religions, but hey, we enjoy meeting each other over a bridge club or or whatever kind of. There's dozens and dozens of different kind of groups that are organized around affinities and activities. But and maybe that's a way to get people just to relate to other people as people, as opposed to someone else of a different color, a different race, or different religion. So that's where I think the UVA Diversity Task Force is totally off track, and they don't even discuss it. It's not even up for debate.
There's a weird irony that this obsession with diversity is leading to an era of so much massive conflict. I'm sure that wasn't the original intention, but come on, let's be honest. It isn't looking good for any of us. I really appreciate it. Jim Bacon, baconsrebellion.com. Hopefully you'll get that thing back up and running, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Jim. Okay. Bye. It's 8:48 on this Monday morning. We'll come back in just a moment on News Radio WRVA.